Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to create the function for the contact form that will enable someone to enter the details and also submit the details on the form, and it will then save it to the local storage on the local machine. So this is what the form looks like at the moment. At the moment, it's not very functional. So we can type in details in here and send it, but it will not go anywhere. So in this lecture, we're going to implement local storage. Before we begin with our JavaScript, let me just open up the index.html file and just highlight something for you. We created a class. Let me just go through that. So we have a class here called stored, and I've attached that class to all the labels like the name field, the email field, and the message field. They've all got the class stored. So what this will be, this will allow the form elements to be stored. So anywhere you have the class stored use, the data submitted to that will be stored using this stored class. So what I'm going to do in this lecture, like the previous ones, is just to save time again, is explain the code as I copy chunks of the code in. So we're gonna be using jQuery. jQuery is a JavaScript library. We've already got a reference to the library via the Google CDN, which is a content delivery network. So there's no need to install it. So the first thing I'm gonna paste in here is this code here. Anywhere you see the $, know that you are referencing a jQuery library. So basically what this does, this code here, this document here is what's passed into the code, and this .ready method, what that does, it checks, jQuery checks to make sure that the web page is fully loaded before the code executes. It doesn't want the code to execute prematurely, so this is used to check that it looks out for the page and make sure that the content or the page is loaded fully before it notifies jQuery to inject the code or to use the code. So before any JavaScript code is executed, this here on line 1 is used to check that the document is ready so that the code does not execute too early. I have pasted some code in from line 2 to line 14. So I'll just explain what's going on here. Okay, so basically what's happening here is that a function called init, this init here is a function. The function called init is run when the page is first loaded. So what this function does, it checks to see if any data is stored for each of the fields. And if there is data, it adds the data to the relevant form element. So you can see here, this is what it does. So this is anything between this curly, this is the main curly braces here. So this is the end. This is when the init function is called. So to call this function here, this is how it's specified. You just write the name of the function followed by the parentheses, and it will call the function. So I've said here line 3 that if the local storage name trace, the name that has been entered by someone, if the name is, if there's something there, this here, this $sign here is jQuery, and inside here is an ID. So if it looks for this selector here, this selector ID called name, and it evaluates it. if there is a matching data or if there's anything entered, it will put it inside local storage under the title name. The same thing here. If it searches for this ID email, it will evaluate it and put it in local storage under this title email. So for example, if you've got several emails typed in, this is an array. Anywhere you see square brackets, you are referring to an array. So these are arrays, these square brackets, which means they can contain more than one value. Okay. Again, the same process here. It checks if there's any message in this ID here called message. If there is, it evaluates it and pops it into local storage under the key or label message. All right, so that's basically how this init function works. So the function is defined on line 2 and it is called on line 13. Okay, so I've pasted another code in from line 16 to 19. Basically what this code is doing here. So what's happening here is that this code here, this dot change, this here is the class that is attached to each of the labels, the message, the message, the email, and the name, this class, and that's the jQuery here. Inside there is the selector. So this function here, what the change, this is a change event for function. Basically what that does, the change event only occurs when the value of an element has been changed. It usually works with inputs, text area, select, and so on. Usually with form elements this is used. So it looks out for a change in event. So what it does, it will check if there's any change. The function will then add the data that has been inputted into local storage. This here, this $, and then this, what this is actually is a selector. It is used, it references the current HTML element. So wherever you see this used is referencing to the current HTML element. So this is dot, and then this is the attribute, and this is the name. All right. So basically what's happening here in this little function here, the function checks to see if there's any change and then pops the change into local storage. Okay, so we're done now. You just need to save. Always save your work. Just click save all, and then I'll launch the form and see. And then now we should be able to type something in. Okay, so you don't have to watch me type. I've just typed in a name here, James Bond, email james@007, and this is a message. So if I click send, okay, and this, and then I click reset. If I go to the browser now, just do F12. Okay, so the form has been submitted and these are the contents. So this was what was typed in for the email, james@007.com, and the message, I said, where is the party at? And the name was James Bond. So it has saved what I typed in to the form into local storage. So that's it for this project on creating a contact form with local storage. Please feel free to contact me if you have any issues at all. I'll be more than happy to help. I hope you're not overwhelmed by it all, but feel free to contact me. I really would love to help. Take care, all the best, and I hope it has been useful. Bye for now.